So here we are. It's now Friday night in Jerusalem. Yes, I'm finally here. The arrival was smooth. A couple of little bumps along the way, but I am pretty much ready to give you my first little lecture. A little background. I got here on time. Waited quite a while at the airport because they were supposed to wait until a van fills up with enough people to go to Jerusalem with those, what they call a sharut, which is a shared van. So you wait until it's filled up with enough people to fill it and make it worth their trip. And so we waited quite a while at the airport. Needless to say, I was anxious to get here. I was tired from the overnight trip. Arrived here, took a rest for a few hours, and got up bright and early this morning, had a nice big Israeli breakfast, and got on the bus and headed over to Yad Vashem to do my research. I wanted to find out that I had forgot to set my watch, and it's a day later. So therefore, it's Friday here, and Friday in Jerusalem, in Israel, means getting ready for the Sabbath, or what we call the Shabbat, which meant everything was closing early, and went from 1 to 3 o'clock. Something was going to open at all, such as the Archive Research Center at Yad Vashem, the Visual Center at Yad Vashem, two places I wanted to spend time visiting and doing research. Even my friends at the International School for Holocaust Studies were in today. They took the class and I had a field trip. So I made the best of my time. I went to the Art Museum, and I'll like to share with you some of the things I picked up at the Art Museum today. Of course, then I got back to my hotel, and I took a walk on what's called Ben Yehuda Street. It's the place to be seen, and walk around, see people, and just people to watch, and things of that nature. And of course, at 3 o'clock, I rushed into a supermarket to pick up some food for tomorrow for the Sabbath, because everything was closed. And then my GPS wasn't working. That was always fun. Then I spent 45 minutes on the phone on my cell phone here with Garmin to find out that you have to leave it on for quite a while and not be moving around with it until it, quote, acquires or finds the satellites after such a long journey across the world. So I learned. Now it's working. So let's take a look at some of the things I noticed at the Art Museum today. One of the exhibits today was called Virtues of Memory. One of the things that caught my eye was some of the comments and motifs that I found were common among a lot of the artwork. First of all, one of the comments, words, not only are a means of commemoration, the individual remembers the horror. And so art, as compared to words, is not an effort by the artist to recreate reality. It is the reality to the survivor artist. It's their internal memory and their external memory. Each piece of art is the voice of an individual. And that's a very simplistic notion, but I think powerful at the same time. Art is a wish on the part of the survivor to document the horrors of what happened, which was the reality of life for them. In Christianity, we know the Via Dolorosa. It's not too far from here, actually. You can walk there in about 5 minutes. The path at which Christ walked along the stations on his way to Golgotha, to his death. And the Holocaust was compared in a way as the Jewish Via Dolorosa with a path to Golgotha of its own, depicted through the artwork. And I thought that was an interesting notion I had never seen before. The common thing I noticed was the repetition of certain artistic motifs. And I'm not an art critic by any means. So when I look for artistic techniques, I find that it's a little difficult for me to look at it from an artist's point of view, but possibly that's good. I notice certain things, such as fire, is very prevalent in a lot of the art. Barbed wire is another motif. Profiles of people in prayer, anonymously, just a shadow or profile of someone in prayer to an unseen and invisible God. The dark colors are indicative usually of gloom and very often used in pictures that depict life in a ghetto. A lot of the pictures show the people who queued up or lined up for food, a common experience in the camps, of course. Crowded lines, marches, deportations, lines of people everywhere to the deportation depot, onto the train, at the selection spot at the camp, as well as the food line, and the morning selection or the morning roll call where many times selections took place. Even long lines of people during the death marches when the Nazis tried to take the victims further east so that the Allies would not find them and took them on what we now know are death marches, where many people just died along the road and were left there. Another common motif is the imposition of the barracks and life in the barracks into a lot of the art. And I notice art material used, other than oil and painting, oil and canvas paintings, some of the artists use three-dimensional carved out wooden sculptures, a lot of barbed wire, real barbed wire in these exhibits. They're not paintings, they were sculptures or statues or things of that kind. Carts filled with corpses was a common motif in a lot of the artwork. Synagogues on fire, life in the what we call the shtetl, the little Jewish villages in Europe. In some of the work I looked at today, they were depicting, a group of paintings were depicting the liberation. And one must examine the liberation pictures and realize that it says, they're not pictures showing elation. At first you might think, well, people would be elated and be happy at the idea of being liberated. But quite the contrary, in the photographs and the artwork of the camp, and the commentary with the artwork explained why. It said that in their testimony, survivors tell that they want to depict the moment of liberation as one when for the first time in what to them is an eternity, they stopped being preoccupied with survival and gave vent to their real feelings. And their real feelings were to mourn the world that departed, of which they had been an integral part of and so cruelly robbed of. Their loved ones had been torn from them, their culture torn from them, and crushed into shreds, so to speak. So they were torn from the places of their childhood, their memories, their homeland, and now the nation of displaced persons. So they were really not thrilled because they were mourning this loss that none of us could really understand the magnitude of. A lot of the artwork is done in charcoal and pencil drawings, which again sets a specific mood with the monolithic symbol of the chimney coming out of the crematorium with smoke in the shape of humans, which I thought was an interesting motif as well. That's it for today.